In 1991, I got my first phone call from Jones. Then another, and another. Every week since, without fail, I've had these phone calls with Jones. Not sure what to expect or what the topic will be, or even why I pick up. All I know for sure is every week I get another phone call from Jones.
Brian Jones. How are you, man?
I'm fried, to be honest with you, man. It's a nutty day at work and just ridiculous, needless office politics and...
What?
Oh, dude, I'm telling you, man. Dude,
office politics? What? Since when are you into office politics?
I'm not. Oh, dude, it was brutal. I was out on Clark Street in front of my building having a shouting match with a coworker and fighting off accusations of not respecting coworkers and it was out of nowhere and it was for nothing and it was just, honest to God, it was office politics. From my opinion, it was office politics for the sake of office politics, and I did everything I could to stay out of it, and I still couldn't. And people aren't even, I think, doing it out of, it's just out of this almost habit. They're doing it out of this habit of, this is how I just communicate at work.
So people are coming up and they're dropping dime on other people, talking, gossiping, and that negativity is weighing on you? And because they're dragging you into the politics of it?
Yeah, but I'm trying to dig my way out of it by just saying, so there was an incident yesterday. Coworker was venting at me about something and then claimed that somebody else was a part of it at work. Not a part of it, but that somebody else had those same grievances. And I kind of smell bullshit on it. So I went, okay, you know what, then I want to apologize to you, and I'm going to go upstairs, and I'm going to go apologize to him. Well, no, don't say that. Don't say anything, because that'll, then they'll just know that they were coming to me in confidence, and they would just know that I'm talking to you, which is all just bullshit.
Wait. So were they were going like, all right, Brian, Susie in Cubicle 3, she doesn't like you. And you were like, oh, well, I'll go and I'll tell her I'm sorry that I hurt her feelings last week. And they were like, no, don't do that. And so then you started feeling like, oh, they're just making this up for attention.
Well, they were, this girl was claiming that I don't respect her in the office space, which is ridiculous.
Which is true, because she's a woman. Stuff.
Well, no, she's not bright and she's lazy and she sits around just chatting about Bachelor all day long like all women do in the workplace. No, she's actually very sharp. She's brilliant at what she does, no doubt. But she was coming up with this thing that she was just choosing to be mad at me about for whatever reason, and gave me this thing that I don't respect her and that other people notice I don't respect her, which is ridiculous because out of everybody at work, on a personal level, I'm closest to her out of everybody, right? But she just was choosing to be mad about something and I need to talk to you. We got to go outside. And she has me out on the sidewalk, down on, with Clark and Madison, like people are winging by us. And she just is feeling stressed about other things, in my opinion. But she just starts venting on me, and I let her go for a while. And then after a while, I kind of called her on bullshit, like, wait a minute. What are you talking about? I don't respect you. And I went right down the line of things where I've shown total respect to her and shown actually times where she's actually disrespected me. And she's like, okay, well, fine. I won't do that anymore. But just so you notice, it is wearing on me at work, and other people are noticing that I'm not being respected. And, she went down the line of what people were saying, which I smelled a rat. I was like, I don't buy that for a second. In fact, I think what you were doing was just venting to other people, on the corner, and then they were just like, I know, yeah, okay.
Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah, they're just pushing the pile along because they just want to get out of it. And she knows that too. But when I called her out and I go, and it was just a total like social maneuver. I didn't even really feel it in my heart. I was just like, you know what? Okay, that's fine. All right. I am going to go work this out. I'm going to go work this out right now. I'm going to go upstairs and apologize. No, don't do that. Don't do that. Are you really going to do that? Like, and that's, you know, when someone, are you really going to do that? You kind of know which way they're going.
Well, I can't. First of all, as you know, I have a complete disdain for these situations and for people who partake in them in any way. And the whole notion of office politics makes me, literally, I'm about to vomit right now, even just thinking about it. But I have been in situations, inter-office, inter-life, whatever, where I have spoken, I've said too much. And then the person was like, oh, so-and-so said that? Well, I'm going to go and have a bone to pick with him right now. And I've been like, no. Oh, my God. Why did I say that? That was horrible. So I have been in the situation that you're describing that this woman may have been in, because I have a big mouth, as you know.
Well, I understand that. I understand where it could be like, hey, I'm just letting you know something. But what she was saying is, you've disrespected me. Other people have noticed that. I wasn't clear about it. You know, this other guy noticed it, and he says that he feels disrespected by you, too. And I don't buy that for a second. I don't buy that. And it's so ridiculous because we're all people. We all hang out. So you are just the most, you're like self-deprecating to the point where you don't even respect yourself 80% of the time, it seems. So I've never ever seen you leverage in on anybody and show them disrespect. Meanwhile, I have to ask, I have to get racialist about it, but the notion of disrespect seems to be, I don't know, do white people feel disrespected and use that term? That doesn't seem to be a white person term. Oh, no, this was an all honky conversation.
Have you ever run into, it seems like in the black community, there is that bandying about of that term. So I was just wondering.
Right. I've noticed that too, although I think the bigger thing than the black and white thing is, I think it's, you know, a lot of times I think you see it coming from, like, say, a black guy. But I think what I've noticed, I've had some white guys give me that stuff about being respected and being all pissed off about it. And they all, across the board, anybody who I've run into this with, on a male level, they didn't have a father in their life. And I'm not trying to be too, like, let's get all deep about it, but I remember in radio I was working with this one kid, super sharp. He was an intern, and one day he was bitching about the program director, and he's like, well, he doesn't respect me. And he was kind of being ridiculous. And I just pulled him aside and I was like, Joey, no, he doesn't respect you. You're an intern. But I could tell that there was always this fuel to the fire of being respected, and it was always from another man, particularly a man maybe even of this kid's age, but he wanted people of that level to respect him. And if they didn't, he would catch on to it right away, or if he perceived they didn't, he would react to it right away. So that was really the respect thing was there. So I have a feeling if it's among men and they have a problem with other men and being respected, I would say 9 times out of 10 it's they have no relationship with their dad because they get upset. You know, your father and my father, you know, no one could yell at you or get on you worse than your own dad. Like, what's a program director going to say to you that was worse than than Wally? You know.
Oh my God, yeah. I still get tears in my eyes thinking back to the hurtful comments he had for me as a teen.
Right. So I think that's a thing. And funny enough, I don't want to veer off too far on the subject, but Rick Pitino, the coach of Louisville, he said something kind of similar when they said, what's it like coaching guys now 30 years down the road? And he said, the biggest thing now is young guys are really sensitive about respect and being respected. And the second that you get on them, they go into a shell, and when you try to dig into what it was all about, it's always a respect issue. And the interviewer was like, well, why do you think it is? And Tina just came right out with it. He's like, because most of my players don't know their dads. Because when I was young, nobody could get on me worse than my dad. And he's like, as I'm going down the line, just becoming an increasing pattern, that's one of the biggest differences in coaching is these guys have this perception of not being respected.
Interesting. Man, I don't even, like the term respect, for whatever reason, it's not even on my radar. I never have ever, I don't think I've ever said that to myself, like that dude doesn't respect. I don't even think about that. Right. I just think of it, I guess I'm a real simpleton. It's real black and white. I either like you or I don't. But I don't have gradations of like that person doesn't respect me as much as that person. Think about that.
Right. And then I kind of go, I think, well, you and I think go along that same boat, that same path, and which isn't, I guess, too surprising, seeing that we're both self-deprecating guys, but I don't know, this huge thing kicked up about this respect thing, and I kind of smelled a rat in that it wasn't authentic, and that I kind of had a sense of this person who was, and I'm not even going to give you a name, it doesn't even matter, you never even met the person who was being rumored to have felt disrespected by me. I was like, there's no way. This is something that's being manufactured. And the second that I called this girl out on it, I only did it with the purpose of, I said, and this would be true though, I said, okay, well fine, I don't want to go back and forth. It's one thing if someone said, hey, someone noticed you came in late today and they've been saying you come in late a lot. That's one thing. But when someone is saying, but when someone is saying, hey, I notice he disrespects you, he disrespects me all the time too, I'm just not going to be like, okay, well, I've been told that. No, that's something you have to clear the air on.
Well, okay, so how would you do that? Would you walk up to them and give them an affirmation of, you know what, Bob, I actually highly respect you. In fact, I was just thinking to myself last week on that conference call how worthy of respect your perspectives were. And I wanted you to know I respect you. And then you give them a hug. How does that work?
Well, so what I did was I waited. I wasn't going to create a scene in the middle of the day. But as the day closed, it worked out to where it was just me and that other dude in the office who I was informed felt disrespected by me. And
not much was happening.
I went up to him.
Until you and Bob were alone, and then you taught him the meaning of the word respect.
Oh, yeah, no, pants were off. There's no doubt. Pants were off, and giggles were everywhere. But anyway.
Bob, I heard you hear that I don't respect you.
Yeah, let me show you respect. No, I'm showing you respect. Just closer. Anyway.
Respect is supposed to feel good, isn't it, Brian?
So anyway, I just went up to him and I was like, hey, this is a conversation I had. And right away, he started laughing. He was like, oh, my God. I mean, he was like laughing. He wasn't even uncomfortable, like, oh, my God, it came out. You know, because sometimes you can confront someone like, hey, you know, Mike, I talked to Andy, and he said this, and you're like, oh, well, you know, you get that weird pause. And he was laughing. He's like, oh, my God. He's like, are you serious? He's like, no, my God, not at all. And I could tell as he was describing things that he was just doing, and I don't fault anybody for this because everybody gets involved in the office rigmarole of, unless you really agree with that person, sometimes you get caught up in that avalanche of, yeah, I know, yeah, Bob can be weird. You know, and you're doing it to push the rock, roll the rock down the road kind of a thing. And if he was saying anything, it was like, no, yeah, you seem pissed off today. You seem pissed off. And that's all that, if he had contributed anything, that's all he had really contributed. I'm fine with that. I don't give a shit. And if he does feel disrespected by me, then, and I go to talk to him about it, I would appreciate then if he would say something. And even he added, when he kind of blew it off, like, oh my God, I wasn't saying anything like that. That was all made up. I didn't say anything like that. And then he added, he goes, the only time that you and I have ever had a problem was on that one account. And he cited it, and he was right. So I was like, that's the only time where he and I kind of bit back at each other a bit.
And you did display massive disrespect for me in that situation. But other than that, by and large, you respect me.
Right, yes. So anyway, I'm just fried from that whole scene. Because it's absurd.
Well, right.
It's
So he's
absurd.
going to go back to the original, sayer, and now you're going to have a further problem with her, right? Because she told you don't say anything to Bob.
Right, but I don't think that will be the purpose of any further problem. Because, to me, then if people know that, like, I understand office politics. Sometimes you want to get things off your chest and say, like, oh, God, people are saying this and blah, blah, blah. But once you get into this whole, level of, hey, this is what I see. When someone is confronting you, and if I'm saying to you, hey, Mike, this is what I think of you, and this is what you've done wrong to me, and Andy thinks that you've done this to him too, you have to talk to Andy. That's why when this girl said it to me, it was like, no, I have to talk to him. You just told me. It's not like if I get it sometimes when someone says, hey, just so you know, when you proposed that idea in the meeting, afterwards Tom was talking shit about it and you all this.
Yeah. He was making the jerk-off hand gesture behind your back.
Right. That situation, you take the information and you put it in the back of your brain and go, okay, Tom, jerk-off gesture, didn't like my idea, and you let it go. But when you're in this space of people claiming that they're feeling disrespected by you, that's as absurd as it sounds. It almost sounds like kind of this, like, sad, hip-hop version of Office Life, talking about respect and stuff.
Right.
But that's something that can really build.
It could fester, and it could end up in gunfire erupting.
Right.
And no one wants that except for me.
Right. So I'm just feeling fried from all of that. I'm trying to remove myself from it.
Yeah, I don't want you to get Tupac's on the strip, man.
Right. It's just exhausting.
Why don't you bring a little of the hip-hop lumber to the office, environment? Why don't you Suge Knight Vanilla Ice someone, dangle him out the window by his legs?
I don't know. Those windows are pretty thick.
Are you capable of dangling anyone out of a window?
I don't think I am. I think all I'm really capable of is banning them from coming to Club 21 West for a couple weeks.
But then sleepovers will recommence.
Right. I'm not an aggressive guy. I'm just not. I'm a very forgiving guy. This could all likely smooth over. But it was just one of those things where I was like, okay, if people think I'm being in their face about something or not respecting them, then I have to deal with that. But whatever.
Man. Wow. It's unfortunate. You've had such a good run there. I'd hate for this to worsen, infect.
Well, my hope is that long term this will be a good thing, rather than play this game. Because then, once you play into that game, then the other person can just know, okay, well, this is how I know I can manipulate a situation.
Yeah, so it's also, like, everyone's, like, 10 to 15 years younger than you there, right? Yeah, that's probably accurate, yep. Do you feel that this is a millennial syndrome?
No, I really don't, because I get along in a number of ways. A lot of those millennials are more mature than me. Well,
yeah, you're a bad sample, but have you noticed generationally a difference between our generation and that one?
Have I noticed any differences in generation?
Because it's common for a generation to look back on the up-and-coming generation and go like, they don't make them like they used to in my day. But and certainly no one can live up to the greatest generation. If I could do my Tom Brokaw, I can't. That
was actually pretty good. The
greatest generation. No one will ever live up to them. And so they're on a pedestal. But, out of what, 10,000 generations of humans, that one was the greatest. We'll all have to agree on, I guess. But it seems like the millennial generation gets this label of just being complete slack-jawed, no motivation, still living at home, from the 30 type people without vision and without drive.
I would completely disagree with that, actually. Based on the people that I work with, they're very sharp. They are better than our generation was with money, in terms of saving money, being aware. They're not spendthrifts. Very professional. No, I wouldn't say that at all. Across the board, I would have to say, if I compared myself almost even now to them, they're better than me with money. They certainly were better than me with money when we compared my 20-something self to their 20-something self.
Yeah, but I would throw you out, and I want you to find a different role model, like Andy.
Yeah, but okay, then let's use Andy. People our age were like Andy even. I mean, Andy was rare among us. Andy wasn't typical for the age.
Okay, well, let's find someone else. I'm digging here.
And then maybe, you want to use me, that's fine, but I have to say that, people I'm working with at 23 or 24, they see me, if I ever go to grab a credit card, they're like, and they really have it in their heads. And we even talked about it one day, and they said, when we were young, we had it beaten to our head that, this American golden goose is over. You're never going to be richer than your parents' generation. So watch out. You just can't burn through paychecks or burn through a couple of years of being young and having fun and play catch-up like you did in the past. And that, it seemed to play out the way that, none of them without credit cards. And none of them are wild spenders and going on all these vacations or anything like that. So, no, I think this was just a genuine office rift, an unfortunate office rift. But I have to say, I haven't found that among younger people. I found them to be very sharp, very professional.
All right, and so then this is a fascinating glimpse then for me. So please continue. Do they ever talk about how they're getting shortchanged? If they're taking care of their business, but the previous generations, like the baby boomers and Generation X, us, we're just spending into oblivion and we're screwing them.
But I've noticed that they are far more conservative than you would have even imagined. And even the girls in the office are far more conservative than I would picture 23, 24, 25-year-old people.
Huh.
Yeah. So, and I have noticed there's been light comments about that where they would just say, they would note that some of this predicament that they're in is not of their doing, but it is what it is, and they deal with it.
The predicament of what?
The predicament of people racking up debts, and people, generations before them were racking up debts, and not now the economy has slowed to the point where, college loans are crippling and that sort of thing. So.
And do these people have college loans and stuff?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Do you have the feeling that we're going to be in a better place because of this up-and-coming generation in 20 to 50 years?
I don't know. I have no idea.
Well, I'm very excited to be hearing this. Here, I thought that, I just imagine a bunch of hipsters standing around, in thrift store clothes and, with Paps in their hands. And that's how I characterize, I'm very comfortable characterizing tens of millions of people that way.
Right.
Sweeping generalizations is my game, Buster.
Well, sometimes that's the only way you can talk about something is to generalize it.
But I do like to find out new things. All right, well, I'm sorry that you got caught up in the vortex of office politics.
Yeah, it was unfortunate. It was
goes
unfortunate.
With the territory, you know.
More importantly, how did your day go?
Well, you know, another day, another dollar. In my case, literally another dollar. But it went fine. I did hear from the Racine 17-year-old son of the race director, who is apparently the Facebook page curator.
Yes.
And so I did get a response. I'd like to read that to you, since it impacts whether or not you will have to be training for the next 3 months for that race. And it impacts, you know, we want to know if we can use iPods in the big race up there, the Half-Ironman, 70.3, 56-mile bike, 13.1 run, and so I guess that leaves 1.2 swim.
Yeah.
And so, again, our stance, we're unified in this stance. I absolutely agree with the stance that you shouldn't be able to wear an iPod during obviously, I think the swimming would be problematic, although you did say there was a waterproof iPod set up, but that's going a little far. I think you can swim for 45 minutes or 50 minutes or whatever without listening to tunes.
Right.
It sounds chaotic as it is, so that's fine with me. 56 miles on the bike, people passing at 30 miles an hour, I get it. You want to be able to hear, I understand that. The run, 13.1 miles, that, you know, boy, as exhausted as I would be, that's a good 3.5 hours for me.
Yeah.
That's when I need the tunage, and I want it. I want to listen to my tunes for 3 hours. And so this is the response to the question, can we use our iPods? And so here we go. Hi, Mike. Good question. And unfortunately, music/headphones are banned from our events. Here's what we think would happen. I love it. Can I get an up or down vote? Here's what we think would happen. You might receive a penalty from whichever official saw you with headphones, and they would tell you to remove the headphones. If you got caught with them again, you would be DQ'd, which I'm assuming it does not stand for Dairy Queen.
I would not. You will get a blizzard and be told to go home.
Because if it stands for Dairy Queen, man, I am wearing like 6 headphones.
Right, yeah.
So he goes on, this person goes on, the problem with headphones is, I love it, they talk about no respect. Maybe I'm going to start seeing lack of respect everywhere I go now. The problem with headphones is that it's a safety issue. I love this, if there was a weather-related issue in Syracuse, we had to use megaphones and PA systems to warn people of the impending doom of a disastrous T-storm, which I'm assuming stands for thunderstorm, but it could stand for transvestite storm.
We got a bunch of transvestite walkers! Turn around!
Yes, it sounds like a new club, north of the Boss on Halstead and Hubbard.
Right.
T-storm. Okay, he goes on, of a disastrous T-storm. Or if an emergency vehicle needed to get through, you wouldn't hear these sounds.
Oh, come on!
Yes, I'm going to run with those, $399, like Dr. Dre Beat headphones that completely cancel out even my own thoughts. I mean, come on, man. So he wraps it up with, also, if there was a hand cyclist, I love this. If there was a hand cyclist on the course, and he said on your left, you might not hear it, which would result in an accident. Hope this helps. No, it doesn't, actually. I want there to be a Joe category. I want a Joe category, and I want there to be a hand cyclist category. So let me get this straight. You can use a fucking hand cycle to do the run, but I can't listen to Led Zeppelin 4 to do the run? That's stupid. Which is more in the spirit of competition? Using a machine to do the run? Hello, we tried that, and Oscar Pistorius' story is not ending well.
Not at all.
So we got to, okay, can I just run 13.1 miles with music in my ear, and I'll stay to the right, and I'm wearing the green Joe, the average Joe smock or whatever, so everyone knows, idiot ahead. Meanwhile, I'll be at the end of the race anyway. Like, literally, they'll be, I could help them close the course. I'll be so slow.
Right. In fact, you should almost volunteer that and be like, well, just a further piece of information. I am a horrible athlete, and I am willing to run with the reflector jacket, so at the end, as I get down to the last quarter mile, I can just start pitching in and breaking down all of the stands and the garbage cans and the refreshment areas right with you guys.
Yeah. I absolutely could. I volunteer. I will take one table and break it down at the end. At the end of the Fox Valley Marathon, I had to walk over to the table and grab my own, baked potato wrap, those shiny, for whatever reason, after marathons, they give you like a shiny cape to put on.
Right. Yes.
And there was like a table with like a rock on top of a stack of them, and I had to get my own.
Right.
Like that's how there was not even any volunteers around left. It was like a ghost town. So I'm going to be at the end, man. No one's going to be passing me.
I'm relieved, though.
No. So this is what I propose. I propose our own 70.3, and we can do it how we want to do it. Naperville Centennial Pool, whatever, 50 meters or whatever. It's a pretty big place. It used to be like a quarry. They flooded it and they chlorinated it, so it's pretty big as pools go. We can use the lanes and do our 1.2 miles there, and then we'll have our bikes made up, and we'll have somebody on the staff like, hey, man, could you watch those? All right, great, cool. We'll have our bikes made up. We'll run out of the pool. We'll jump on the bikes. We'll ride to this trail that I run on. It's crushed limestone, and it's a 7-hill loop. And so, ride around that bitch. It's probably about 5 miles from downtown or so, 3 to 5. So basically ride around that thing 7 times or so, ride to my house, drop off our bikes, and then start the 13.1-mile run, which honestly, we just go right back to that same loop. And I've run that, and I have a course mapped out, which is 13.1 miles already. So I already have the plan for our own 70.3. Let's see. And you can listen to all the iPods you want.
No, you're right. I understand that. I would see. Here's the thing.
And I just lit up a cigarette. I literally just that was a cigarette lighting up.
Oh man, come on! I thought you were done with this. I thought we talked about this.
Well, for a fact, I thought I should light up a cigarette right now. So continue.
All right. Well, here are my thoughts on our own 70.3. See, here are my attractions and here are my detractions to this. I like the idea of us, and for whatever reason, this kind of romantic notion of the year that we turn 40, and that we kind of do something, some kind of, remember we climbed Mount Rainier or did a half-Ironman or something.
Yeah, we climbed the Coke Mountains and Robbins. Remember that?
Yes.
We got mesothelioma and died at 50. That was great, man.
So I like that idea. I'm kind of about that idea that we identify something that, hey, this is something that would be landmark. Let's you and I do it. Go. Now, I'll admit all along the idea of preparing for an half-Ironman is not very exciting to me. And I was kind of relieved to see that the Racine Half-Ironman is out of play. That said, I would still like to do something that could be somewhat destination in nature. The Half-Ironman in Racine.
Yeah.
So it would just seem so weird to be like, oh, yeah, I do the Half-Ironman. Where'd you do it? Oh, me and my buddy together.
Well, actually, I think that's cooler because I think that, it doesn't sound like there's bands or anything cool. And I love, like, how they're all uppity in Racine. It's like, dude, you should be happy that I'm coming to Racine, man. There's no reason to go there. I would much rather see the sights and sounds and the smells of Naperville than Racine. So You should be kissing my hairy beanbag for even wanting to take part in the dopey race. At least Steelhead, you're up. There's some, it sounds like it's a nice area. Racine sucks, man.
Yeah, well, I would agree with you. I don't know. I'd have to think about it. There is kind of a funny idea of doing your own personal Ironman, but what would it be? Like you and I sign up for a tough man competition or something stupid. I don't know. I have to think about it. Because I like the idea of picking a targeted event, but then it would just seem to really undersell the moment of the day of when it's just you and I, because let's not pretend anybody else will show up. And also let's not pretend that you and I could also get halfway through it and just be like, dude, you want to forget it and just go home and watch UFC? Yeah, okay, let's go.
No, of course I would finish.
Well, maybe you would. Maybe you wouldn't. Maybe I wouldn't.
I think by virtue of there being at least one other person there, you would absolutely finish.
I guess. I have to think about it. Because I wasn't juiced about an half Ironman to begin with. But now when you don't have that...
We call it ourselves. We call it something else, too. I don't even want anything to do with the Ironman now. I think it's a sham. Oh, there's hand cyclists? Oh, fabulous. What else? Tell me more. What other accommodations do you make for people? What if I called it a disability? Well, maybe I have a disability I need with Led Zeppelin 4.
Right, yes. And in order to be in motion, you have to hear music. Otherwise, you are completely static.
Yeah, I have a disease it's called non-musical inertia. I literally I cannot move unless I have music when I'm on terra firma and I'm not on a bike. And so I know it hasn't been recognized by, the Cleveland Clinic yet. Can
I ask you a favor? Can you go to, now you can't go back to the Half Ironman Racine, they'll know who you are. Can you please write to any other triathlon event? I don't care if it's a sprint, an international, a Half Ironman, an Ironman. And just send that email. Have you ever heard the book Letters from a Nut?
Yes, you have laid that out for me. Wasn't that Seinfeld?
Yes. Yes. Well, Seinfeld did the foreword to it. He had another buddy of his, I guess, that wrote it. Would you please cobble together a letter and just send it off to 4 or 5 different race organizations in a night and just see if anybody would respond to that? Because the idea, you throw out a term like terra firma, you throw out a term like inertia. What was it? Musically motivated. What was it?
Non-musical inertia.
Yes. Could you please put together a paragraph and just send it out to a few race organizations and see if any of them bite?
Yeah, I'll I'll talk about how I've been seeing doctors and how it has yet been it's heretofore undiagnosed and unnamed, but it does exist.
Right.
The medical literature going back centuries, literally, we'll talk about that. Back when barbers used to do bloodletting, they treated people for non-musical inertia.
Right, yes. And funny enough, as rare as this affliction is, I have a very close personal friend who would like to race with me who has this same affliction.
Yeah, I'll say we met at some sort of a support, forum online.
Right, yes. Well, let me think about, in terms of doing our own Half Ironman, I'm not as juiced about that. Not that I was juiced about the Half Ironman. Can I look, where are you at on this? Do you kind of see it from my perspective that part of the appeal is, hey, we turned 40 this year and we did X?
No, I don't at all. That's, to me, as foreign a concept as the term disrespect. I don't, man, TLC was right. Age ain't nothing but a number. I don't even understand it. I get it. It's not a milestone for me at all.
Okay. And I'm not on that same path either. Like, I'm 40, so I have to do something. But for whatever reason, the significance of this year that you and I would do something like this when we haven't in the past, I don't know. There's some romantic notion to it. I think it would be kind of cool. But then I don't want to do something stupid like, oh, we jumped out of a plane, because it's like, great, you walked up to an open door and leaned over. I do like the idea of training and having some purpose for something, but the Half Ironman does seem almost more challenging than I'm really up to. I kind of like to get together with you once or twice a week, whatever we would decide to do, to at least train together to kind of do something.
Well, I think we should do whatever we were going to do anyway, including and not limited to performing a rap album post-race.
Well, yeah, we should still We should still at least talk to the organizers about that.
I haven't given up the ghost here. I did respond to him, and I said, thanks for that. What does disqualified mean? I wouldn't have an official time, or I would be stopped and physically taken off the course. It's fine, whatever the answer. I think the rule against it for running is weak. Obviously, you can still hear megaphone announcements with earbuds, and if weather was bad, one would be paying attention to announcements and whatnot. I can certainly go do 70.3 on my own, but it does seem like a good time. Just want to listen to some tunes. So would they literally make me leave the run? Like, and how does that work? Do they, like, physically detain me? Like, do they put their hands on me? How's that going to happen?
Right. No, that's the thing. The cancellation. I would hate to go through all that, and then all of a sudden they really, they get security officials over, and it's like either the earbuds or you go.
That'd be great. We got a bunch of portly dudes, like, literally trying to block us, and we're trying to run around them.
Yeah, right. We put in like a record time just trying to escape them.
Of course, they're all on hand cycles. So we can't, possibly outrun them. Actually, they'd be on Segways. Dude, there's probably, like, people on Segways in this thing. So why not use a Segway? Oh, hand cycles? Why? Because they're sweating. They're using their arms. Man, this world has gone half-baked on this political correct nonsense. It's a running race. Okay, and so my daughter, the 11-year-old, was... like you don't know her name. She's just the 11-year-old to you. She was, for whatever reason, during the Sochi Olympics, she was like, Dad, turn on the Paralympics. And I'm like, oh, they're not for like another week or two. And she's like, oh, I want to see them. And I'm like, all right. So when they finally were on, I'm like, hey, check it out. They're playing hockey. And so did you see the hockey in the Paralympics? I've seen them do it.
But I haven't watched. I watched some of the Paralympics, though.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I was nonplussed. It's an abomination. It wasn't an abortion. It's an abomination. I don't understand why do we have to do this, man? Why? I don't get it. I don't want to be mean. I don't want to be uncaring, because I'm not those things. But that's not hockey. It's not the same sport. And so it's cool that y'all want to get together, and just like it's cool that I can go do 70.3 on a Saturday morning with my buddy. Well, that's not weird, but whatever. I absolutely am a live and let live kind of a guy, but I don't understand why we have to call that hockey. Dudes without legs playing hockey is not hockey.
Yeah, I've seen a little glimpse of it, and there seems to be... Is it all guys without legs? Because don't some of them just have here's how that played out. I see the glimpses on commercials and stuff.
I watched little sleds. They're like on little sleds. So meanwhile, so the coach calls a timeout, and he looks like he's Gulliver, and everyone's 2 feet off the ground. It was ridiculous. I mean, I almost posted on Facebook that I knew there'd be blowback. So I did not, but I wanted to be like, look, I mean, I challenge you to turn on the Paralympics and keep a straight face. I mean, it's not, I don't understand. It's cool to do your own thing, have events, whatever, but this is hockey. This is something else, and so call it something else. Make up your own name for it. Call it ice. I don't know. I don't know what you would call it, but it's ridiculous.
Yeah, I'd have to see, because I wondered how that played out, because I see the guys without the legs and they're scooting around on the ski or whatever that is, sled. But then I thought, well, if there's other guys out there, the Gulliver scenario, maybe a guy's missing a leg, I would think, well, if he has a prosthetic leg, just in terms of the reach and puck handling, you destroy the guys on the sled. So I didn't know that they were all on sled.
Yeah, everybody's on the same plane. And so that's my ultimate response to this is, well, okay, then have a hand cycle division, and all those characters go out first. And then have your actually have your professional division of the dudes who are trying to get to Kona or whatever. And they all go out first. and then all the people, without arms go out next, and then,
those characters, if you will.
And all the characters without legs go out next, and then all the, paunchy types like me that are just there for an experience, we go last, and we're the slowest, and fine. So, but I feel disrespected and discriminated against.
Right. I think I agree with you. I don't see why you couldn't separate this out where everybody could do their own thing and you're not dealing with the hand cycle people. But I think we've also become such a litigious society that I think it's very difficult for these guys to just kind of accept that they worry about everything. So we've become this world where, okay, there was one complaint here, and then this person said he'd call a lawyer, so no iPods for anybody. Okay, well, this guy had a hand cycle, and he bumped into a guy who owned an iPod but kept it at his house, so hand cyclists only because they have a union and blah, blah, whatever it is. I don't know.
Okay, well, we need to get a lobbyist, and we need to form some sort of a coalition of the non-musical inertia willing, because this shit has to stop.
Right. Well, and maybe that's the thing. Maybe we put together our own, just even more than a two-man race. You put together your own race.
Yeah, I'm gonna put together a group, and I'm gonna see. Hey, man, who wants to do 70.3? No holds barred, man. You want to run without shorts? We don't care. Just show up at this time, and we're gonna give medals. It's gonna be called the Copper Man.
Right. No, I think why not? Why not?
The I-Man. Since we'll all have iPods, this is the I-Man.
Yeah, no, I can dig that. Definitely.
All right. Well, enjoy your night, and for now you have a respite, but I'm not giving up on this, man. And I don't think you should completely. You're not out of the woods, my friend.
All right, can you give me the option of if I go down to like the Runner's Soul or Fleet Feet Sports and I talk to them and I say, hey, look, this is the idea. I'd like to do kind of a cool race, but I don't know if I'm a half-Ironman guy, especially the triathlon thing. We kind of are thinking about doing it, but my partner and I, but we don't want to do the whole iPod thing. Can you think of something that's cool where they're like, dude, you should do the mountain bike triathlon, and they don't give a shit, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, that's fine. You do that, and then I'll send out 5 letters so that we have a body of work.
Oh, please, yes.
Of nuttiness, and I'll really I'll disability it up.
Yes, no, I would love that, please.
All right, brother. Hang in there.
All right, man. You too.
See ya.
Later.
We're sorry, the number you have dialed is not in service at this time.